Don't you love it when things are both easier and more affordable? Like when the rain washes your car for you. Or like when you save up to 10% by bundling your renters and auto insurance with USAA. Bundle with USAA and start saving. Get a quote today.
Hilton brings you new ways to stay, with experiences that let you capture the glory days. Introducing the Graduate Hotels. Each inspired by local college towns, these stays are always original and never boring. Get in touch with traditions all across the country and enjoy a stay that's a class above the rest. Book at Graduate Hotels with Hilton Honors Points at Hilton.com. It's a win-win. Hilton, for the stay.
Hi, it's Dave here. This is my wife, Kathy.
Hello.
This is the Cinemile. It's the podcast where we walk home from the movies. And it's a good day to walk hard because
it's the best
the sun
day
is
of the year.
out.
So we probably shouldn't be going to the cinema.
No, but it's a perfect time to go to a dark, grim, grey-looking Marvel movie right at the decline of the MCU. Right?
And you know, it's the first one in ages where we've both watched the trailer and gone, that looks really good.
Yes, I'm still, though, wary because there's also a lot of good buzz coming out of this, about this early buzz. But then there's always early buzz from the people who see movies.
There isn't,
get to
though.
see movies early and they're like, wow,
There
that was the
no-
best thing I ever saw.
The last Marvel movie we saw, Captain America,
Yeah, that had no buzz.
that had no buzz.
That had negative buzz,
Yeah,
which
there was-
carried into the negative experience of watching that movie.
What was the last good Marvel thing we watched, be it TV or film?
Probably Deadpool and Wolverine last year. But
Not
then,
counting that because that's not in
yeah,
this
that
universe.
does feel like it's... Well, it is, but it doesn't
But it's
feel...
not.
I know what you mean.
Of this universe, what is the last one we watched?
I had a bit of fun with Loki, I guess. When was that? Loki season 2 was pretty terrible.
That was a long time ago.
So Loki season 1? WandaVision? What's that? 2020? I don't know.
I think we liked Black Widow, which is kind of the
Black
prequel
Widow
to
was
this.
pretty good, but even that's
that was
that's 5 years
That
ago.
was 2020, yeah.
I don't know. I'm struggling.
I'm struggling.
The
to think
Spider-Man
of a-
one was pretty good. The third one. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway,
Here's where my expectations are.
Okay.
Do you see this? Mm-hmm. Everyone see this?
This is a visual medium.
It's right down there
Okay.
by my ankles. And I think this is a good place to go.
My expectations are high. I love Florence Pugh.
She's
There's
great.
this new trend in the cinema, which I actually really like, which has kind of just suddenly emerged.
Oh, where you
Where-
scream phrases from the movie and throw your popcorn in the air?
No, where the trailers in the cinema are actually behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And I like it because it's movie studios are like, what can we do? No one's paying attention to our trailers. No one's paying attention to our films. And it's kind of out of the Mission Impossible playbook. But I saw one of these trailers in the cinema about this film and it showed Florence Pugh like legitimately jumping off a building.
Yeah.
And I'm interested. Like, stunts will attract my attention and engage me. I've seen one similar one for the Karate Kid where they've kind of gone behind the scenes and that. I like this new trailer style. It's like something to shake us up, you know, because clearly things aren't working out very well for the cinemas. So yeah, I think the Florence Pugh kind of stunty stuff I'm looking forward to. I did like Black Widow. It's fun to see this kind of ramshackle group, I think, in the posters. Like, I'd recognise some of them. Yeah, I'm interested.
Yeah. I recognise some of them. Let's go see this movie.
But not in a, oh God, it's the fourth Captain America movie kind of way, you know?
I know. At least, I'll say it here, it looks like a little different to the usual fare.
Yeah, it looks fun.
However, it also does look like it's just Suicide Squad and Guardians of the Galaxy
doesn't.
mashed up. So
I'm positive on this one. Anyway,
All right.
we're going to go. We do not have childcare today, so we're actually going separately. I'm going first. And then Dave's coming after me, and we shall reconvene.
this is our patented tag team cinema approach, which many parents have messaged us about to
Yeah.
say thank you for introducing us to this concept.
A lot of people have said legitimately that since they had kids, they never go to the cinema anymore, and it hadn't crossed their mind to tag team like we do. And now people are doing it, so we've set off a trend.
Yeah,
They
shout
don't,
out-
however, go out afterwards and then record their episodes.
Well, that's what they're missing. They're missing a trick.
But it's
Always
lovely.
record everything.
Because you both get to see the film and you both get a break from doing things with kids.
Yeah.
Win-win. Anyway, we shall be back after we've seen it and we shall reconvene.
See you soon.
Bye.
I was in high school when the Avengers came. Kind of strange that it's all over now. No one's coming to save the day.
I think we are. We can be the ones that are coming.
But you have the wrong people. We have all done bad things.
Look, I've been where you are. The past doesn't go away. So you can either live with it forever, or you can do something about it. I am a void. Look what you unleashed. You can't outrun the emptiness.
We can't do this. No one here is a hero.
We all have things that we regret.
But I have so many.
Lena, when I look at you, I don't see your mistakes. That's why we need each other.
We can't stop him alone.
Okay, hi, we're back. We've seen Thunderbolts twice, I guess. We'll have 2 screenings.
Yeah.
We've both seen it. If it's your first time here at the cinema, there will be no spoilers for Thunderbolts Asterix, as it is actually titled, until... You didn't get the whole Asterix thing?
No.
Yeah, there's a whole thing where it's got an Asterix
Right. Okay.
after it, which was
that.
revealed at the end. But we won't tell you that now because there's no spoilers until,
I
of course, we
didn't
get to
say till the
Spoiler
end.
Street.
I left.
Oh, you did? Of course you didn't. This was the movie where you actually should have stayed. It actually had a consequential end credit
Okay,
scene,
we'll
which
get to
I
that
will
in
explain
spoilers.
later
We'll
when
get
we
to that
turn
in
onto
spoilers,
Spoiler
yeah.
Street. So no spoilers now. Kathy, what do you think of the movie Thunderbolts?
I had such a good time with this
brackets
film.
question mark.
I had such a good time with this film. I can't tell you.
Oh, good.
I was so happy. I was actually really happy watching it. It had... Now, these are basic things that a good film should have, but have been sadly lacking in the MCU. It had a really good story. It had a brilliant main character. Yes, we know her from one other movie, but she's a fresh lead for us. I thought the settings were really interesting. I thought the villain was really interesting. I thought it was funny, like I laughed loads. I thought the cast was brilliant. So we've reviewed every MCU movie on this podcast. We've watched all the TV shows. We are like knee deep in Marvel, right? And despite me not being particularly bothered about a lot of them. And kind of when we first started this podcast, we were in the heyday of Marvel, and the first one we reviewed, I think, was Winter Soldier. And I just always felt
No, it was Civil War. Was
Civil
episode
War?
2 of this
Sorry,
podcast.
Civil War.
Yeah.
I always felt like that iteration of Marvel was like taking itself like very, very seriously and thought it was maybe a higher art form than it was. But then we've now descended into things like the most recent Captain America, which is like, geez, you wish they'd take themselves a bit more seriously because this is really dire stuff. And I found this film to be the perfect middle ground for me of, it's very well made, got really good characters who we've actually met before, so there's some of the heritage, but it's also fun. So to me, this is like the sweet spot of what I want a Marvel movie to be. Love seeing Julia Louis-Dreyfus back. Love seeing, God, I can't remember his name, but the guy from Stranger Things, and he's the
David
dad.
Harbour.
Yeah, David Harbour's brilliant, and I love to see the Winter Soldier back. So
Bucky.
Bucky
You used to hate Bucky.
I know, but I was happy to see him back now.
Yeah.
You know, when you've sat with something for a while, and then from the
You sat with Bucky long enough.
the
have you?
Captain America TV and Falcon TV show we watched, I was like, oh, there's the guy from that show. You know, it's a nice
Not
way
a
for
good
people
TV
to come
show.
back. Yeah, I didn't like the show, but there's been enough time that I'm happy to see them come back. Anyway, long story short, I had such a good time with it. Really enjoyed it. Can't wait to get to spoilers. And yeah, had a blast.
Nice.
And Florence Pugh's just amazing.
Florence
as the
Pugh's
lead.
great in this.
And when she jumped off the building, because I'd seen the behind the scenes thing, I was like, yay, she really did it. And that does matter.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it matters to know that, and like you appreciate it more.
Even though the moment in the movie is nothing.
yeah,
it's
but
a nothing moment.
That's why they've done the behind the scenes though, because
Yeah.
it's cool now. Whereas before, I would have just thought it was a stunt double.
Yeah, fair. I went on a bit of a journey with this movie. I'd say for the first half hour, maybe 45 minutes, my expectations remained down there where I've indicated, down by my ankles. And I was like, this is an ugly looking movie, and I think it is consistently ugly. It is grey. Now they've tried something different. To be
But we've
fair,
seen Ant-Man. When you talk about bad looking,
yeah. That's
they've got so bad with how they look.
That's awful. Ant-Man
Yeah.
is down
It's the
at my
barometer.
toes.
Ant-Man is like, this is how bad it can get.
Yeah, no, this is
The
and
most
they're
recent. I'm talking about the most recent Ant-Man. by
and
the way.
the MCU has I think, often been criticized for having a very bland look and palette. Even the scores are very bland and samey, and so at least this looks a little different. It's trying to be a little bit darker and moodier, but honestly I thought it was an ugly, it's just very grey and bland. And when you compare it to, I think, its closest counterpoints like Suicide Squad and Guardians of the Galaxy, which are bursting with colour and can still be kind of dark and gritty, you don't need to be in this palette. Everything's very grey and boring. So I don't like how this movie looks, and it was upsetting me for a while. Yeah. And secondly, it took me ages to kind of get on the wavelength of the movie. I found that there's a lot of lame Marvel comedy. We're now at the phase where we're like 15, 16, how many years into this? 17 years of Marvel, and it's now like, you know, their comedy has become a trope or a meme, you know, oh, he's behind me, isn't he? And all that. And I was particularly concerned about Wyatt Russell as your man, because his jokes just weren't landing for me, and I was just like, and I was feeling a little cringy. And then there's a point where it became clear to me that the movie was actually trying. It has a script.
Trying really hard.
It's trying really hard. It has a script, which is, I have to call it out for being good, and it has actual characterization at its core, and it has themes, and it has characters and it ties those themes together. It is very nicely constructed, and
it is
all
coherent.
of the coherent, yeah,
which is a huge praise.
And I realized at a point, maybe 45 minutes in, I was starting to care. I was invested in these people, and I agree the villain we'll talk about in spoilers is particularly good.
One of the best Marvel villains they've ever had.
It's just really good, and I'll also talk about that it deals with, and I cannot say if it deals with it in any justifiable way, and I'm not a mental health expert, but to me, I thought the film attempted to tackle some issues around mental health, loneliness, depression,
loads.
And I think it does that in, again, I don't know, is it particularly done sensitively? I am no expert, but to me, it looked like it was doing it in an interesting way, and tied it all together really well. So by the end,
and in a thoughtful way, like someone's been thinking about this theme, and not just bang bang, we need to do this to make the, you know, X happen because it happened in the Marvel comics at some point. Like, it didn't feel like it was trying to shoehorn. And like, after we watched the last Captain America, like, we had heard about all these reshoots, and it made so much sense because there was just plot lines in the film that came and went and disappeared, but this is like coherent A to Z.
And also
I'm not just saying it's coherent, it's beyond that. It's actually, I genuinely think it's compelling.
Here's the key, and I agree, and I by the end I was like, I'm impressed. I think this is it's a really good film. And here's the key difference, I think, between because you're right to compare it to that Captain America film. At any point, could you, if you'd asked me what are the goals of Sam Wilson, Captain America, at any point of this film, what does he want?
We never knew.
I could not tell you. I could tell you maybe a plot point, like he needs to do X to get this person out of prison. But I'm like, what does he actually want as a person? In this movie, I was incredibly invested in Yelena Florence Pugh's motivations. They're made very clear. She's adrift. She's somebody who's lacking purpose. And they tied that all in together beautifully to the villain, to how it ended. And it had character at its core. Characterization driving the plot, not the plot driving the movie, because plots in Marvel movies are boring.
Yeah.
They're the least interesting part.
Oh, in this one, again, I think it's the combination of like having Julia Louis-Dreyfus in there. It's just it just feels elevated.
Yeah.
And like, having seen Black Widow again 5 years ago, and not rewatched it since, it did that perfect thing of having seen Black Widow enhance my pleasure of the film, but I also, if I hadn't seen Black Widow, it wouldn't have mattered. And that is a fine line to thread.
Yeah.
And if I hadn't seen any of the other stuff with Bucky or the kind of B-grade Captain America guy from the TV show, also that wouldn't have mattered, but having seen it enhanced. And I think when sometimes Marvel got its knickers in a twist, when it was like you had to have seen things before, and it kind of diluted everything. it's like, where are we going with this, you know? Like, that kind of particularly it came out between some of the TV series linking to the movies, and it got a bit confusing. So I think this has just been handled very well. We need this kind of thing back, because the Avengers are dead. Nobody cares about the small little movies anymore about different characters. Everyone's over them. We kind of needed to bring back a big gang again.
Yeah.
They've done it really well. I think we should go to spoilers.
Yeah, I agree. So before we get to spoilers, we're going to take a little break. You might hear a quick ad.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Okay, before we get to spoilers for Thunderbolts, would like to quickly shout out and say hello to all of our patrons over at patreon.com/thecinema.
Hello.
Who talk to us every day on that beautiful little community tab where you can talk about what they're seeing. They've got really good movie taste, much better than us, and
we're
they're
talking
cool.
about movies, TV shows, video games. We're currently...
There's Last of Us spoiler threads going on there. We're all chatting all the time.
We're chatting about Andor. We're chatting about the final season of You. There's loads going on over there, so come over and say hi, and you can sign up for a free 7-day trial.
Yes, but do not sign up via the iOS app. You can use the iOS app. Don't sign up via the iOS app, or Apple steals your money.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/thecinema. I'll hope to see you there. So, Kathy, spoilers now for Thunderbolts asterisk. Let's talk about the sort of Bob, then the villain. Sentry. Or no, he's not even a villain, is he? He's like, that's what I liked about this.
No, but he's not a villain, but
his dark side is.
He's not a villain, but what Julia Louis-Dreyfus turns him into becomes destructive for the city.
Yes.
So they have to overcome the destruction. And it's interesting because early on in the film, you know, they're referencing the Avengers and the big New York thing. And then at the end, Florence Pugh says that they're in New York. And I'm like, are you? I did not know the end of this film was in New York.
I had the same thing because they were in Washington at the beginning.
Yeah, they didn't do any iconic New York stuff, and it's funny because they obviously were trying to tie it in with the Avengers, but I'm like, geez, you should have showed us the Statue of Liberty or something.
But I agree, I had that same moment, but then I realised, but of course, because they're at Avengers Tower, which was in New York, but
who knows?
But nothing, it didn't look like New York. It was anyway, just some backlot.
But I like the way, I love the idea that they're like, you know, I find it very meta that they're like, Jesus, we need the Avengers back because for this world we live in. But we viewers, we're like, no, we need the Avengers back because everything you've done since Endgame has been so bad.
Yeah.
That like we need this group to bring it all back together again. So I kind of like the meta-ness of that whole thing, and you've got like the kind of the driving force of the film is Florence Pugh's like very, very unhappy with her lot, and she knows she's doing the wrong thing. She wants to have a purpose. But then the Bob thing was so good because when we meet him in this brilliant setup, by the way, this where they all got sent in to kill each other in the incinerator, I just enjoyed that.
I loved all that,
yeah.
and I gotta say, I love that they just stayed in that for so long. I was expecting them to cut away to, oh well, now we've got out of there, and now we need a plan to. No, but they minute to minute, like how are they going to get out of this? Yeah. Building, go up the lift shaft, which was great.
So funny.
Get out, like, and all of those moments and staying in that almost real time, you got to watch them form as a team.
Exactly.
And I loved all that. So sorry, carry on.
And again, because the film is in the minutiae, it's in these moments. It's like it's not leaping all around the world.
Yeah, Captain America is like we're in Mexico now, and now we're on an aircraft carrier.
And you just can't follow anything.
Now we're in Japan.
And one of the things, and again, we're shitting on Captain America, but it's only because it's the last one we saw.
It's only because it's shit.
It's because we just watched it as well, like 2 months ago. But do you remember there was so many fight scenes in there that was so boring? The fight scenes with Florence, even the beginning. Sorry, I'm all over the place now, but like when she showed up in the lab. And there's all the fighting and the shooting in the lab. Like, it was so good. And then the scenes between all of our protagonists kind of fighting against each other were so good. But then when we meet Bob and we see that he goes inside people and just grabs tragic memories and forces them to relive them. And again, but those memories were both demonstrating Bob's ability to us, but also giving us really good character backstory.
Right.
So it's just like beautifully worked together. And then we have, through all this, like Florence Pugh and him like create a bond so that later on when he becomes Superman, which I didn't know was in Marvel, she's able to pull him back, and I just thought it was all very beautiful.
Honestly, I was tearing up when she went and hugged him, and then they all started hugging him and said, "I'm here for you."
Was so nice.
What a beautiful way to resolve the third act conflict. Because MCU, many superhero films of the past 20 years, fall into, even that first Avengers movie, fall into the trap of the big blue light in the sky, the big blue beam. You've got to stop the big blue beam.
Utter violence, and I love the idea that like Bob is fighting with himself because he's got this darkness within him, and he's punching the darkness, and they're like, you're
hurting yourself.
That's not the way to do it. You need to embrace experiences and being with other people. And I find it almost,
it was moving.
It's so relevant right now, because there's just this incredible epidemic of particularly young men with mental health problems reverting into this digital world and disassociating themselves from people and experiences around them, and then being radicalized, and even having things like AI companions, so you don't have to go and meet real women anymore, and being in these really toxic online kind of manosphere environments, and which they themselves are taking advantage of vulnerable young men like Bob. And I've just found the message of the film really lovely, that it's like his friends are pulling him out of it, and they're saying, don't fight, don't beat yourself up, expand your worldview, and embrace friendships. I just thought it was such a lovely message.
Isn't it?
It was the mechanics of it were cool though. When he came out and started just shadowing people.
Oh yeah, that was.
I've never seen anything
when
like
the
that.
little girl got shadowed. I was
oh
like,
my
whoa!
God. Because David Harbour had just rescued her.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, their little rescue moment where they all got their moment to rescue.
I was cheering.
Their hero moments. That's lovely.
If I had been with you, I would have clapped, but because I was on my own, I was cheering myself. Yeah, I think because even every character got their own moment. Because earlier on, David Harbour had said when I was most happiest is when I was saving people and I was being cheered.
Yeah.
And then when they hold up that big rock and they're being cheered, honestly, the film paid off everything that it promised, which again is a thing also, any film should do, but most don't.
But to tie this central theme of, it's so woven through everything in here, this whole idea of being an individual versus being a team and community, and that's the story of the Thunderbolts. And I loved that it was named after her soccer team.
It was so sweet.
That's lovely. And who never won, and they kept saying, we're losers, we're individuals, we're rogue, we can't work together. And that tied into Yelena's loneliness, her sense of wanting purpose.
And her dad then said, I can see a light come on within you.
And when I thought
lovely.
They were David Harbour and Florence Pugh, in that scene, particularly in the third act, when he catches her when she's walking away and she starts crying. I mean, they're really performing it.
Together.
They're really... and they were great in Black Widow as well. Florence Pugh really holds this movie up and elevates it.
She's
but everyone's doing good work.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus, she's
so fun.
She's so fun.
Getting to see her now. Wendell Pierce underused, but nice to see him here.
2 people from The Wire in this.
Who's the other one?
The squad commander who she was saying to him, "Don't kill. This is an."
Oh my God! I was like, who is that? It's Frank Sabatka, of course.
So for anyone who doesn't know, Dave has a different podcast called The Wire Stripped. So I thought you would have copped that.
And we've had
older.
both Wendell Pierce and oh my God, I'm blanking on Frank Sabatka actor's name, but we've had them both on. But
so I love that 2 people from The Wire.
But
Can't
also,
have been an accident.
I got a shout out. So Florence Pugh, I think, is the MVP, and she's the centre of this thing and holds it all up. But Lewis Pullman, who plays Bob, and I've just discovered is the son of Bill Pullman.
Oh my God, he looks just like
doesn't
him.
he? Yeah, doesn't he?
I did.
And
he is
wonderful. He is wonderful in this.
I've never seen him before, and I was like, he's got the emotional range. When he came out with the blonde hair, he looked like what's your man from oh man, that Amazon, The Boys.
There was a lot. I was thinking The Boys so often through this, and
when he came out with the blonde hair, he just looked
teetering
like...
on that, but he is a different character. But there is some overlap
because there was only and I love the way even when they came out, they're like, "Did you dye your hair?" And he's a bit embarrassed because he knows he shouldn't have dyed his hair. But then what's really scary is he then flips that and becomes full Black Shadow.
Yeah.
And with only gaping eyes.
But that's so recognisable. I love that they've really humanised him.
Yeah.
And I've stared into the void. We have we all have that within us. This sense of nothing. What's the point? What really does any of this matter? And he's someone who just falls right into that, and that is scary if you give that person superpowers.
And earlier on, because she was going through a dark moment and been like, just push it down, like, and it's only at the end that she realizes about, you know, that she needs this community and these friends as well. But I honestly would say, I think villain's not quite the right word, but he's like the best Marvel antagonist we've seen. The combination of him and Julia Louis-Dreyfus, like I love when she's like telling him what to do, and he goes, wait a minute, why would I listen to you? And she's like, huh?
And he's scary in that moment, and then the kill switch goes, and you're like.
And also, it's really interesting, and it does relate back to the Captain America stuff, where they say, yeah, you shoot up Steve Rogers with this stuff, it's fine, because Steve Rogers is in the army. He's used to taking orders.
No, that wasn't what Steve Rogers is as a person. Just a beacon of morality.
I know
that's why he. Yeah, go on.
But also, he's used to people who aren't in the army. If somebody says to them, "Do this," they'll be like, "Why?
Sorry,
Why are you telling me to do that?" Like, you know what I mean? And he questioned her so quickly. I honestly, I could talk about this movie all day. It was such a fun. I'm like, Marvel's back. I hope it does well.
I agree. It was such a blast. It's a surprise, and it really is just shows have good characters and good storytelling at the heart of something, and build plot and things around it, and that it's that simple.
Now I'm very concerned about these new shenanigans I've seen of chairs and Robert Downey Jr. and like 1,000 people's names being on the back of the chairs.
I mean,
already,
how are they supposed to have 40 people in one movie?
Just use these guys, the Thunderbolts. That's it now. That's all we need.
Well, let's talk about actually before we get to the ending, and I'd like to quickly just point out a couple of things which threw me. One, I think, or a couple of things in the negative column. One, I think killing Taskmaster off in the middle.
Who is that?
Who is, well, you see, exactly. Do you remember when they're in the vault and they're all trying to kill each other? One, the ghost kills one of the other one. She kills her target, shoots her in the head.
Yeah.
She was the villain in Black Widow. She's all over the marketing. She's on the poster. They make you believe she's part of the Thunderbolts. So I was really confused and thrown, as in, but she's part of the team. Is she going to come back, or?
I thought she was just cannon fodder.
But see, you didn't. So, but then why did they have her? I looked this up just on my phone quickly. The director has said they wanted to kill off. They wanted to show you that firstly, she's part of the team in all the marketing, but they were going to kill her off to demonstrate that no one is safe. And I'm like, okay, that didn't land.
Well, no, but Yolanda did have that scene where your one says to her, "Oh, was that your friend?" And she said, yeah, well, she was a bad person, she had a shitty life, and then she died like the rest of us. And it kind of fed into the darkness of what they were doing.
But it just didn't land for me. I was confused, I was thrown, and it underserved the characters. I don't think that worked. And you didn't even notice. So like, what was the point in any of that?
Yeah,
Secondly,
but I'm not following the characters like from film to film like that. Like, I can remember the core characters, but I'm not.
But then why put them on the poster and on all the market anyway? The other thing I thought was that Ghost. I thought the actress who plays Ghost was really good, and anytime she spoke up, she was really good at the snarky delivery.
She was good.
But she's a collateral damage in terms of characterization and storytelling. They gave her nothing.
Out of all of them, she had the least to do.
But look, you can't do it all. But actually, I thought she was still a welcome presence.
I recognised her, and it was bugging me. Can't remember what she's from.
Yeah.
But
anyway,
I've seen her in something recently.
Let's talk about the end. So the end I found quite delightful. The asterisk is the reveal that they're the new Avengers. So you didn't stick around for the end.
I love when Julia Louis-Dreyfus tricks them onto a stage.
Yeah, that was funny.
It was so fun.
But
I'm so happy she's in this universe.
Yeah, she's a delight.
She's kind of half her character from Veep as well, and I love
it's
her.
very, very Veep.
Yeah.
So I loved this, and then you get the little. Did you see the post-credit thing with David Harbour and the Wheaties?
No, but I loved it. I thought he was delightful in the film.
So you get a little thing of him in a supermarket, and there's there on the box of Wheaties.
Oh, cute! And does it call them the Avengers?
And it says the new Avengers, and there's merchandising everywhere, and he's trying to get this woman to buy the Wheaties and recognise him on the box.
Cute. Okay,
he's good at the comedy, but the other one. So if you stayed right till the end.
See, therein lies the difference between us.
Well, usually they're boring and pointless, and I'm sick of them, to be honest. And I felt like a twat sitting there right till the end. But I did read that it was worth sticking around for. And it was like a whole other scene with all of them. And it says 14 months later, and they're all in Avengers Tower, and you find out that Sam, Captain America, is not happy with them being the Avengers. He's forming his own.
Oh, Sam, go away!
He's forming his own Avengers, and he's suing them for copyright infringement.
Okay, that's kind of funny.
And Bucky is tried to reason with him, but it didn't go well. And
okay,
so,
Sam
so
continues
now we're gonna
to
have.
be annoying then.
But this is fun. So now you're gonna have two competing Avengers.
Yeah, but we've seen Civil War. Like, we don't need that.
Yeah, well, that's where that's going anyway.
Oh, boy, they've just brought it back to being good, and now they're doing annoying shit again. Finally, can I just say,
No, anyway, I'm not finished. Sorry, then it keeps going, and then there's a whole thing where someone comes down from space, and it's the Fantastic Four, basically.
Okay, that movie I'm looking forward to it because I
Yeah.
like the Fantastic Four. My favourite scene of the film, I forgot to say, was, you know, when they're in the limousine and they're being chased by these big.
Oh, that was great.
When Bucky showed up.
Is he channeling Schwarzenegger from Terminator 2?
It was so cool. And like,
Yeah.
again, I didn't even like Bucky before, but now I'm like, Bucky!
I really enjoyed when he clears off all the military people, and then they're like, yes, you did it, and then he throws the bomb on their car.
Fun. It was so fun. And finally, one more thing on Bucky. I love when we really saw the power of Superman, aka Bob, when he took Bucky's arm and just whacked him with it.
Yeah.
That was just
I enjoyed the arm in the dishwasher
and when
as well.
that was really fun. And when he squashed the
shield.
The shield.
Oh, I really liked the end credit scene where you saw all the media coverage of the new Avengers. Did you stick around for that?
As I was walking
and
out,
there was
I
a
saw
great
it.
illustration of Captain America, or whatever he's called, Wyatt Russell, on top of the shield.
He's very good. I have to say,
Actually,
I really enjoyed him.
my reservations were quashed because I thought he was very good, and
He's brilliant.
he brought a lot of. The whole lift scene was fantastic.
Lift scene
it was really funny.
Unreal. That's what I wish we'd gone together because I was laughing my head off like on my own when the guy said I need to sneeze.
Yeah, but also it was quite tense. I was like, this is a stupid idea.
Yeah, I was like,
and
how are they
also,
getting out
how
of
are
it?
you going to get out of it when you get to the top?
And I loved the way for ages he was like, no, like Julia Louis-Dreyfus is not killing me. I'm killing all you guys. And they're like, it's an incinerator. And he's like, oh yeah. Anyway, listen, thanks for listening. Let us know what you thought. Come over to Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, or thecinemile@gmail.com. And please, wherever you listen to podcasts, we would greatly appreciate if you left us a review and a 5 stars.
Wouldn't that be nice?
It would be delightful.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Bye.
No one can. But we can find a way. Together.
Marvel Studios' Thunderbolts.
Under pressure.